USS Cyclops was more than a massive vessel with hundreds of sailors aboard. She was a vital link in the industrial and wartime supply chain. Her cargo, over 10,000 tons of manganese ore, was essential for the production of steel, munitions, and naval vessels. Manganese is a critical alloying element, strengthening steel and allowing it to withstand the pressures of war, particularly in battleships, artillery, and weaponry. In the context of World War I, every ton of manganese mattered. The loss of Cyclops meant not only the disappearance of a ship and crew, but a disruption to crucial wartime materials. Shipping companies and military strategists closely tracked Cyclops' departure. The vessel had loaded her cargo in Brazil, a source of high-grade manganese ore, and was scheduled to deliver it to Baltimore. Naval officials understood that timely delivery was critical. Delays could slow shipbuilding, affect steel production, and ultimately impact military readiness. Cyclops' massive hull and engineering capability made her ideal for transporting such dense cargo efficiently. Her disappearance, therefore, was not merely a logistical problem, it was a strategic setback with potential ripple effects on wartime operations. Economic analysts at the time estimated that the manganese lost aboard Cyclops represented millions of dollars in 1918 currency, a significant sum by any measure. Beyond monetary value, the ore's loss affected steel supply chains, delaying production schedules and creating shortages in critical industries. Factories that relied on manganese faced operational adjustments, sourcing alternative materials where possible, though none were as abundant or accessible as the Brazilian deposit Cyclops was transporting. Historians note that even temporary disruption in the flow of raw materials during wartime can magnify risk, making the ship's disappearance a matter of national concern. Naval strategy documents from the period reveal heightened attention to the loss. Cyclops had been part of a fleet supporting transatlantic supply routes, where every vessel's reliability mattered. Reports emphasized the importance of securing cargo, monitoring ocean conditions, and anticipating logistical delays. Cyclops' disappearance highlighted vulnerabilities in maritime supply chains, forcing planners to consider redundancy, alternate routes, and risk mitigation in future operations. The event influenced naval and commercial strategies for decades, underlining the broader implications of a single ship to the Atlantic. The cargo itself was exceptionally heavy, and its density presented engineering challenges. Manganese ore, with a specific gravity far higher than coal or grain, placed enormous strain on the vessel's hull and cargo braces. Historians and naval engineers have speculated that this factor may have contributed directly to Cyclops' disappearance. Improper load distribution or unexpected shifts in the dense cargo could destabilize a vessel even in moderate seas. The cargo was not merely valuable economically, it may have played a pivotal role in the final moments of the ship. Beyond raw economics, Cyclops' voyage had symbolic significance. Transporting essential resources across the Atlantic, she embodied industrial power, human ingenuity, and the interconnectedness of global trade. Her loss, therefore, resonated both materially and psychologically. In the era of industrial warfare, the disappearance of a single vessel could spark concern across military, commercial, and public spheres. Reports of Cyclops missing reached newspapers, government offices, and industrial leaders, prompting urgent investigations and emphasizing the high stakes of maritime logistics during wartime. Historians also note the ripple effects on shipping practices. Cyclops' disappearance underscored the dangers of overloading, the need for precise cargo bracing, and the importance of monitoring ocean currents and weather conditions. Maritime engineers reviewed the design of similar vessels, assessing hull integrity, stability, and potential weaknesses under heavy loads. Lessons learned from Cyclops informed future naval construction, cargo management practices, and emergency preparedness protocols, ensuring that her loss, while tragic, contributed to advances in maritime safety. The human element intertwined with the economic and strategic significance. Sailors were acutely aware of the weight and importance of their cargo. They understood that the ore they transported contributed directly to the war effort. Letters and logs reveal a sense of pride and responsibility, with crew members noting the vital role of Cyclops in supporting national objectives. This awareness amplified the tragedy. Not only was the ship lost, but the purpose for which she sailed, the lifeblood of industrial and wartime supply, was suspended indefinitely. While natural forces and rogue waves provide compelling explanations for USS Cyclops' disappearance, some historians and theorists have explored the possibility of human intervention. During the height of World War I, the Atlantic was not merely a highway for commerce, it was a contested arena where espionage, sabotage, and covert operations posed significant threats to shipping. Cyclops, carrying a massive cargo of manganese ore vital to the war effort, was a high-value target in this context. One line of speculation suggests enemy sabotage. German intelligence, operating clandestinely in the Atlantic, may have sought to disrupt Allied supply lines. Cyclops, fully loaded and heavily reliant on precise cargo distribution, could have been intentionally targeted, either through planted explosives, stealth attacks, or clandestine interference with cargo handling. While no direct evidence supports this theory, the timing, strategic importance, and complete absence of wreckage fuel speculation that human malice may have played a role. Another theory considers human error. Cyclops was heavily loaded, with thousands of tons of dense manganese ore. Even minor miscalculations in ballast, cargo distribution, or hatch security could have catastrophic consequences. Historians note that the ship's rapid disappearance, without distress signals, could indicate sudden instability caused by human oversight. A poorly secured or shift could create a chain reaction, metal braces failing, water ingress, and rapid capsizing. The combination of heavy cargo and unpredictable ocean conditions made precision essential. Any error could be fatal. Geopolitical intrigue also enters the conversation. Cyclops' disappearance occurred at a time when global powers were deeply invested in resource acquisition and supply chain security. The Atlantic was patrolled by merchant convoys, naval vessels, and intelligence operatives seeking to protect or disrupt critical shipments. Some theorists propose that Cyclops may have inadvertently entered a zone of covert monitoring or interference, where human action, intentional or accidental, intersected tragically with natural forces. Historical documents hint at the strategic significance of manganese ore in wartime. Control over such materials could shift industrial power, enabling more durable weapons, ships, and armor. Cyclops' cargo made her a potential prize or target in a broader geopolitical struggle. Whether through espionage, sabotage, or clandestine operations, theorists argue, human agency cannot be entirely dismissed as a factor in her disappearance. Yet there is no conclusive evidence. Unlike documented attacks on convoys or vessels during wartime, Cyclops left no distress signals, no sightings of hostile vessels, and no recovered debris. This absence suggests that if human intervention occurred, it was swift, precise, and left no trace. A scenario that borders on speculation but fuels enduring intrigue. It is precisely this lack of evidence that elevates the mystery, blurring the line between theory, history, and legend. Some historians also explore the psychological factors involved in the crew's decisions. Operating a vessel of Cyclops' magnitude under heavy cargo, long transatlantic routes, and the ever-present stress of wartime urgency, sailors faced enormous pressure. Minor errors in judgment, delayed ballast adjustments, misreading of currents, or insufficient cargo monitoring could magnify rapidly. Human error, combined with natural forces, creates a plausible scenario in which Cyclops could disappear suddenly, leaving no survivors or evidence. Even in modern retrospectives, naval strategists analyze these possibilities. Simulations combining human error, mechanical stress, and ocean anomalies suggest that a vessel like Cyclops could vanish within hours if several factors coincided. Heavy cargo, uneven weight distribution, subtle miscalculations, and rogue waves or shifting currents. These scenarios underscored the complex interplay of human and environmental factors in maritime disasters. The notion of geopolitical intrigue also extends to secrecy surrounding the investigation. Some theorists argue that wartime censorship, classified intelligence, and the need to maintain morale may have influenced the public reporting of Cyclops' disappearance. Naval authorities may have limited disclosure, either to prevent panic or to protect information about shipping routes and cargo. This lack of transparency has allowed speculation to flourish, further entwining mystery, theory, and the disappearance of USS Cyclops did not end with the Atlantic swallowing her into oblivion. From the moment she failed to reach Baltimore, naval authorities, shipping companies, and families launched an extensive investigative effort, determined to uncover what had transpired. Cyclops' vanishing was unprecedented in scale. A steel hulled, heavily manned vessel disappearing without a trace, and it prompted one of the most thorough maritime inquiries of the era. Immediately after reports of her absence, naval vessels and civilian ships were dispatched along her last known course. Crews combed the waves for debris, life rafts, or signs of distress. Aircraft conducted low-level sweeps, and communication networks were monitored for any signals from the vessel. These initial efforts, despite their intensity and urgency, yielded no tangible evidence. The vastness of the Atlantic, combined with Cyclops' dense cargo and the potential for sudden capsizing, meant that any wreckage could have sunk immediately, leaving rescuers searching empty waters. The Navy conducted a formal inquiry into the disappearance, interviewing officers, examining cargo manifests, and reviewing maintenance logs. Structural integrity, cargo bracing, and mechanical performance were analyzed. Investigators considered natural disasters, rogue waves, and human error. They also explored wartime threats, including enemy interference or sabotage, given the strategic importance of the manganese ore. Despite meticulous documentation, the inquiry concluded that the ship had been lost under circumstances that could not be definitively explained. In the decades that followed, maritime historians and oceanographers revisited the case, attempting to apply modern science to the mystery. Ocean modeling, historical weather reconstruction, and cargo dynamics simulations offered new insights, suggesting plausible scenarios for the sudden disappearance. Rogue waves, shifting manganese ore, and subtle mechanical stresses could have combined to create conditions catastrophic enough to sink Cyclops quickly, without warning. However, the absence of physical evidence meant that each explanation remained speculative, leaving the mystery intact. The story of Cyclops also entered popular imagination, becoming a symbol of maritime mystery and the uncontrollable power of the sea. Writers, journalists, and filmmakers dramatized the disappearance, emphasizing suspense, tragedy, and unexplained phenomena. Ghost ship legends emerged, fueled by reports of sightings or reflections of her massive silhouette in fog and storms. While sensationalized in some accounts, these narratives reinforced the cultural resonance of Cyclops, ensuring her story extended beyond naval records into folklore and collective memory. The disappearance influenced maritime safety protocols as well. Lessons drawn from Cyclops prompted stricter attention to cargo loading, ballast management, and vessel monitoring. Shipbuilders re-evaluated hull designs to account for dense cargo loads, and navigational training incorporated strategies for dealing with extreme ocean phenomena. In this way, the tragedy contributed to advances in maritime engineering and safety practices, a lasting legacy from a ship that vanished without a trace. Families of the crew continued to preserve personal stories, photographs, and letters. These human narratives became integral to the cultural memory of Cyclops, highlighting not just the mystery, but the lives lost in the service of duty and industry. Communities held commemorations, while historians documented biographies of officers and sailors, ensuring that the human element remained central to the story. Letters reveal pride, courage, and daily life aboard a vessel, whose fate remains one of the greatest enigmas in maritime history. Cyclops' disappearance also inspired academic research, from naval history dissertations to oceanographic studies. Scholars debated plausible scenarios, examined the ship's structural design, and analyzed Atlantic oceanography. Each new study reaffirmed the challenge of finding definitive answers, while highlighting the ship's continued relevance to science, history, and education. The case became a reference point for understanding the limits of human knowledge in maritime contexts. Even today, the legend of Cyclops permeates popular culture. Novels, documentaries, and exhibitions recount her story with meticulous attention to historical detail, while incorporating suspense, mystery, and the human drama of her crew. Artists depict the vanished vessel amidst stormy seas, and museums highlight her size, cargo, and the enduring enigma of her final voyage. The story serves as a bridge between history and imagination, allowing successive generations to confront the mystery of a ship lost to the Atlantic yet alive in. Long after the USS Cyclops vanished beneath the Atlantic waves, the legend surrounding her began to evolve, stretching beyond historical inquiry into the realm of modern myths and fringe speculation. The ship's disappearance, complete and absolute, defied explanation, leaving space for ideas that stretched the imagination. Sightings of ghostly vessels, unexplained anomalies, and even extraterrestrial involvement. Some enthusiasts speculated that Cyclops encountered unknown natural phenomena far beyond standard rogue waves or storms. Reports describe unusual lights or shimmering reflections on the ocean's surface near her last known position. Witnesses in the decades following her disappearance claimed to see massive shapes moving beneath the waves, giving rise to rumors of gigantic sea creatures or previously undiscovered aquatic anomalies. While mainstream science generally attributes these sightings to misperception, fog, or optical distortions, they contributed to the mystique of a vessel lost to forces both known and unknown. A more sensational subset of theories involves UFO or extraterrestrial intervention. Some claim that Cyclops was abducted by an unexplained aerial or underwater craft, citing sudden disappearance without distress signals as evidence. These theories often reference similar accounts of vanished ships in the Bermuda Triangle and other mysterious maritime zones. While there is no tangible evidence to support these claims, they persist in popular culture and online forums, demonstrating humanity's fascination with unexplained disappearances and the supernatural. Cryptid and sea monster theories also emerged. Tales of enormous, unrecorded creatures inhabiting the depths of the Atlantic abound. Cyclops' disappearance is sometimes linked to such myths, with some theorists suggesting that a massive aquatic predator or unknown species could have struck the vessel, causing sudden instability and sinking. While entirely speculative, these ideas blend folklore, maritime storytelling, and the inexplicable nature of the deep sea, keeping the mystery alive in the collective imagination. Oceanographers and historians caution that such theories are largely symbolic, reflecting the human tendency to explain the unexplainable with dramatic narratives. Yet they underscore the cultural impact of Cyclops. She's not just a lost ship, but a canvas for stories that challenge our understanding of the natural world. These myths illustrate the intersection of fear, curiosity, and imagination, a vessel swallowed by the Atlantic, forever alive in human consciousness. The Bermuda Triangle, although not geographically precise, often features in Cyclops-related discussions. Researchers note that the region is subject to unpredictable currents, storms, and underwater topography that could explain many disappearances. Cyclops, while officially lost near the mid-Atlantic, occupies a symbolic space in these discussions, embodying the ultimate maritime mystery, a ship so large, so heavily crewed, disappearing without a trace. Some fringe theories even propose time anomalies or dimensional rifts, suggesting that Cyclops may have slipped into a reality outside our own. While these ideas remain purely speculative, they capture the imagination and extend the narrative into science fiction territory. Books, podcasts, and documentaries exploring such theories emphasize the allure of the unknown, merging historical fact with creative interpretation. Despite these sensational theories, Cyclops' human and historical reality remains the anchor. The crew, the cargo, and the strategic significance of her voyage are documented and verified. Yet the absence of evidence invites speculation, allowing myths to flourish alongside historical facts. This duality, scientific plausibility and imaginative speculation, is central to the enduring fascination with Cyclops. The story of Cyclops, in this context, becomes a cultural mirror. Myths, fringe theories, and speculative narratives reveal more about human psychology than the ocean itself. Our desire to understand, to narrate, and to seek meaning in events that defy ordinary explanation. Cyclops is simultaneously a historical vessel and a symbol of the unknown, a mystery that invites exploration across multiple dimensions: scientific, imaginative, and cultural. Finally, Part 16 situates Cyclops as both fact and legend. She is a vessel lost to the Atlantic, a maritime tragedy with real human consequences, and an enduring inspiration for myths, legends, and speculation. From rogue waves to potential extraterrestrial intervention, Cyclops exists at the boundary of knowledge and imagination, a symbol of the sea's vast, unyielding mystery, and the story that continues to captivate, challenge, and inspire. USS Cyclops was one of the largest vessels of her time, constructed with a steel hull designed for both strength and cargo capacity. Yet the Atlantic, with its immense forces and unpredictable conditions, can challenge even the most robust engineering. In Part 18, we examine how structural failure, metallurgical properties, and engineering decisions could have contributed to her sudden and total disappearance. The ship's hull, composed of riveted steel plates, was designed to withstand immense loads. However, manganese ore, the cargo she carried on her final voyage, is extraordinarily dense. Over 10,000 tons of this ore pressed against the ship's structure, creating concentrated stress points along the hull and cargo holds. Naval engineers note that prolonged exposure to such concentrated weight, especially if unevenly distributed, can lead to flexing, cracking, or eventual failure of rivets and steel plates. Even minor structural weaknesses, compounded by waves and shifting cargo, could result in catastrophic consequences. Metallurgical analysis provides additional insight. Early 20th century steel, though advanced for its time, contained variations in composition and microstructure. Some areas could be more brittle under high stress, especially if exposed to repeated bending or corrosion. Cyclops, with her decades of service and prior voyages, may have experienced cumulative wear. Stress fatigue, unseen cracks, or compromised rivets could have reduced the hull's resilience, making her more vulnerable to a sudden capsize or hull breach. Cargo bracing, or the lack thereof, is another critical factor. Manganese ore shifts easily under movement, and if the cargo was not perfectly balanced or restrained, it could have redistributed suddenly during moderate rolling or wave action. This redistribution would shift the center of gravity, increasing heel and stressing the hull beyond safe limits. Engineering simulations suggest that even a small lateral shift of ore could trigger a chain reaction, hull flexing, water ingress, and eventual tipping, all occurring within minutes and leaving no time for distress signals. Hydrodynamic forces also come into play. Cyclops was designed for calm transatlantic crossings, but the ocean exerts forces that are both variable and extreme. Waves, wind, and current can create unexpected torsional stresses along the hull. Coupled with heavy cargo, these forces can amplify structural weaknesses, leading to sudden failure. Modern computational models show that under certain conditions, Cyclops could have suffered hull distortion severe enough to compromise watertight compartments, initiating rapid sinking. Engineers also consider design limitations of the era. Riveted steel, while strong, has inherent weak points at seams and joints. The ship's internal bracing, intended to prevent hull deformation, could only compensate for a certain range of forces. Cyclops' unique combination of size, cargo density, and oceanic conditions may have exceeded these tolerances, producing catastrophic failure invisible to the crew until the final moments. In addition, maintenance practices at the time played a role. Regular inspections, though diligent, could not detect every microfracture or cumulative stress in a vessel carrying such dense cargo. Reports from prior voyages indicate minor flexing and hull strain, which were corrected but left small residual vulnerabilities. These minor imperfections, magnified by heavy cargo and turbulent seas, could have combined to make Cyclops extraordinarily fragile despite her massive size. Some naval historians suggest that a perfect storm of factors, structural stress, cargo shift, hydrodynamic forces, and possibly minor human error may have converged simultaneously. Such convergence would leave no opportunity for corrective action, resulting in the sudden, total disappearance that became the defining mystery of Cyclops. This scenario aligns with the absence of debris, as a rapid sinking under extreme stress would prevent significant wreckage from reaching the surface. Finally, Part 18 situates Cyclops' disappearance within the realm of engineering plausibility, while speculation about rogue waves, sabotage, or paranormal phenomena persists. Structural failure provides a grounded explanation supported by naval design principles, metallurgy, and cargo physics. The Atlantic remains an unforgiving environment, and even the most carefully constructed vessel can succumb to forces that exceed its engineered limit. The disappearance of USS Cyclops sparked not only immediate searches, but a decades-long quest that continues to captivate historians, oceanographers, and explorers. Over the years, advances in technology have transformed these searches, allowing modern researchers to probe depths and distances unimaginable in 1918. Part 19 delves into these long-term expeditions, innovations, and the relentless pursuit of evidence. In the early decades following Cyclops' vanishing, searches relied on surface vessels, basic navigational charts, and human observation. Ships combed the Atlantic along her planned route, looking for debris, life rafts, or any sign of distress. Sailors and naval officers recounted scanning the horizon hour after hour, only to find an endless expanse of ocean. Despite their diligence, the technology of the era limited sonar, no underwater imaging, and rudimentary communication meant that the likelihood of locating wreckage was minimal. By the mid-20th century, advances in sonar technology revolutionized maritime exploration. Side-scan sonar allowed researchers to map vast areas of the ocean floor, revealing anomalies, depressions, and potential wreck sites. These tools provided new hope that Cyclops' remains might be located, even after decades of sedimentation and shifting seabed conditions. Researchers conducted extensive sonar sweeps along the predicted route, identifying numerous potential targets for further investigation. Remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, further expanded possibilities. Equipped with cameras, manipulator arms, and lights, ROVs can explore depths previously inaccessible to human divers. Expeditions deploying ROVs scan suspected sites, sometimes discovering large metallic objects buried beneath sand or silt. While none have been definitively linked to Cyclops, these explorations highlight the potential of modern technology to uncover long-lost maritime mysteries. Oceanographic modeling complements these searches. By analyzing currents, wave patterns, historical storm data, and seafloor topography, researchers estimate where Cyclops may have sunk. Simulations suggest that a vessel of her size, under catastrophic stress, could have traveled or drifted before settling on the ocean floor. These predictive models allow teams to focus their searches on areas of highest probability, increasing efficiency and reducing the vast search space. Some private expeditions have combined archival research with deep-sea technology. Historical records, crew logs, and cargo manifests are cross-referenced with oceanographic data to reconstruct potential scenarios. Specialized equipment, such as magnetometers, detects large metallic concentrations, while multi-beam sonar maps seabed contours in detail. Although Cyclops has yet to be discovered, each expedition refines knowledge, narrows search areas, and contributes to the larger narrative of the ship's final voyage. Despite technological sophistication, challenges remain. The Atlantic is vast, dynamic, and unpredictable. Currents shift, sediments accumulate, and wreckage can be buried under layers of silt. A vessel of Cyclops' size may fragment as it descends, scattering debris over a wide area. The sheer complexity of the ocean floor, combined with the unknown exact location of the sinking, ensures that the search remains both technically demanding and highly uncertain. The story of USS Cyclops is not only one of maritime mystery and vanished steel. It is profoundly a story of human loss and enduring grief. Over 300 men vanished with the vessel, leaving families and communities with unanswered questions and hearts burdened by absence. In Part 20, we explore the emotional and cultural impact of the ship's disappearance, tracing the ways in which memory, mourning, and commemoration have preserved the legacy of Cyclops' crew. For the families, the disappearance was devastating. Parents who had watched their sons depart, wives who had kissed their husbands goodbye, and siblings who had shared a lifetime of hopes were left without closure. Letters written before departure, photographs, and keepsakes became treasured mementos, the only tangible connections to loved ones lost to the ocean. The emotional toll was profound, uncertainty compounded grief, and for many, the inability to perform traditional mourning rituals intensified the pain. Communities rallied around the affected families, providing support, prayer, and remembrance. Local churches, civic organizations, and maritime guilds held memorials, often reading aloud the names of the vanished crew. These ceremonies not only honored the missing, but also created communal spaces for mourning, helping families process the absence of their loved ones in a society where silence and the unknown could feel overwhelming. Memorials dedicated to Cyclops' crew exist in several locations, preserving both the individual and collective memory. Plaques, monuments, and historical markers list the names of the officers, sailors, and engineers who perished. These memorials serve as reminders that behind the maritime enigma lies a profound human tragedy, men who dedicated their lives to duty, industry, and exploration, only to vanish in the vastness of the Atlantic. Personal accounts and family stories enrich the historical narrative. Diaries reveal daily life aboard the ship, letters convey anticipation and affection, and recollections from survivors of related vessels provide context for the crew's routines and personalities. These narratives transform Cyclops from a mere object of mystery into a vessel of human stories, highlighting courage, camaraderie, and resilience in the face of risk. Some families became lifelong advocates for maritime safety, motivated by the loss of Cyclops to promote better ship construction, cargo management, and crew welfare. These efforts extended the legacy of the crew beyond memory, turning personal grief into action, preventing future tragedies. In this way, Cyclops' disappearance catalyzed both mourning and progress. Cultural memory also preserves the emotional resonance of Cyclops. Books, documentaries, and exhibitions frequently include interviews with descendants, photographs, and artifacts, ensuring that the human dimension remains central. Stories of letters never delivered, keepsakes preserved in family homes, and community rituals keep the presence of the crew alive in collective consciousness, bridging history with present-day reflection. The Atlantic itself became a symbolic memorial, vast, enigmatic, and untouchable. Sailors and historians alike recognize that the ocean, both beautiful and unforgiving, holds the remains of Cyclops, her cargo, and her crew. This realization underscores the fragility of human endeavor against natural forces, deepening the emotional resonance of her disappearance. The story of USS Cyclops is a tapestry of history, mystery, human courage, and the vast, unpredictable ocean. Part 50 offers a final reflection, tying together the threads of her journey, disappearance, and enduring legacy, ensuring that her story resonates for generations to come. Cyclops began her voyage as a massive cargo ship, engineered to transport essential manganese ore from South America to Baltimore, playing a critical role in wartime industry. She carried with her over 300 souls, men whose lives were intertwined with maritime labor, industrial ambition, and the hopes of their families. Her disappearance, without a trace, transformed a routine voyage into a global enigma, a mystery that continues to captivate historians, sailors, and enthusiasts. The mystery itself is profound. Despite decades of investigation, technological advances, and historical analysis, Cyclops remains missing. Her final location, the exact cause of her loss, and the fate of her crew are unknown. Yet in this unknown lies her power. Cyclops embodies the ocean's capacity for unpredictability, the limits of human control, and the enduring fascination of unsolved historical events. Throughout this series, we have explored Cyclops' impact on maritime law, insurance, naval training, archaeology, technology, and cultural imagination. She shaped safety protocols, inspired deep-sea exploration, and became a case study in leadership, risk management, and human psychology. Every lesson, every investigation, every memorial reflects the ongoing influence of her story. Cyclops has transcended her physical absence to become a living educational, cultural, and inspirational force. Her influence in media, folklore, and global maritime culture underscores the human need to understand, interpret, and narrate events that defy explanation. Cyclops is a mirror reflecting our fears, curiosity, and resilience. Across documentaries, films, books, and online discussions, her story continues to ignite imagination, debate, and wonder, ensuring that the vanished ship remains present in collective consciousness.